You spent 5 years studying law, another 2 preparing for the bar exam. You're the pride of your family. Your office on Reforma has a panoramic view. You defend businessmen, corporate fraud cases, millionaire divorces. You charge 15,000 pesos per hour. You're good. Until one day you receive a call that will change everything. Do you defend criminal cases? Asks a raspy voice. Depends on the case, you respond in your most professional tone. I have a cousin. They caught him with 50 kilos. He needs to get out fast. You hang up. You block the number. That night, you can't sleep. 2 days later, a man in an 80,000 peso suit appears at your office. He has no appointment. Your secretary is visibly nervous. Just 5 minutes of your time, counselor, he says, sitting down without permission. He puts a briefcase on your desk. He opens it. Inside, there's 500,000 pesos in cash. My name is El Teniente. I need you to get my cousin out. You have 72 hours before they present him to the judge. This is your advance. You know you should refuse. You know this is the beginning of something dangerous. But you also know that 500,000 pesos is 6 months of your best billing. Let me review the file, you say. You've just crossed an invisible line. The case is simple. Possession with intent to distribute. The evidence is solid. But you discover something. The arrest was illegal. There was no search warrant. The police entered the property without authorization. It's a technicality, but it's enough. You prepare an impeccable writ of protection. You cite jurisprudence, constitutional articles, precedents. At the hearing, the judge listens to you attentively. The prosecutors sweat. They weren't expecting a real lawyer. They were expecting a sleepy public defender. You win. Your client goes free due to violations of due process. El Teniente gives you another 500,000 pesos. The boss wants to meet you, he says. The meeting is at an exclusive Japanese restaurant. They reserve the entire place just for you. You arrive thinking it will be like negotiating with a CEO. You're completely wrong. The boss is young, mid-30s. He dresses casually, Balenciaga sneakers, a Moncler jacket. He speaks politely, with an extensive vocabulary. He studied 2 years of business administration before life took him down another path. I was impressed by your work, he says. I need someone like you on the team, not for small cases, for the big stuff. He offers you a monthly salary of 250,000 pesos, plus bonuses for each case won. Only legal defense, he clarifies. Nothing illegal on your part. You both know it's a lie, but the lie is comfortable enough to accept. Your first big case is a writ of protection against an arrest warrant. Your client is a plaza commander. He's accused of 7 homicides. The evidence is circumstantial but abundant. You spend 3 weeks building the defense. You find inconsistencies in the testimonies. You discover that 2 witnesses have criminal records that weren't disclosed. You attack the chain of custody of the ballistic evidence. You present 47 jurisprudence precedents that support your case. On the day of the hearing, you wear a new suit. Hugo Boss, 35,000 pesos. The judge is the same one who ruled in your favor the first time. What a coincidence. You win again. Your client leaves the courthouse and hugs you. He smells of expensive cologne and violence. You've saved a killer. That night, you drink until you pass out. You learn the codes. Never ask where the money comes from. Never ask what your clients really do. Your work is technical, legal, surgical. You're like a doctor. You don't judge the patient, you just cure the disease. The disease is the criminal charges. The cure is writs of protection, appeals, technicalities. You become an expert in the Mexican justice system. You know every article of the Federal Penal Code. You memorize jurisprudence like it's poetry. You know which judges are strict, which are flexible, which are open to negotiations. The negotiations start subtly. A judge mentions his daughter is studying medicine in Guadalajara. A week later, the daughter receives a full scholarship from a foundation you administer. Another judge comments that he needs a loan for medical treatment. Mysteriously, an anonymous benefactor pays for everything. It's not direct bribery, it's strategic generosity. It's building relationships. This is how the system works, you tell yourself. You're not doing anything that big corporate law firms don't do. Except your clients have tattoos and scars instead of Harvard MBAs. Your reputation grows in the underworld. You're el licenciado, the lawyer who never loses. You have a record of 34 consecutive cases won. Other criminal defense attorneys hate you and admire you. Prosecutors complain about you at bar associations. He's too good, they say. He always finds something. And yes, you always find something because the system is full of holes. Because the police are careless. Because prosecutors are overloaded. Because justice in Mexico is Swiss cheese and you know every hole. The boss invites you to his ranch. It's the first time you see where he really lives. It's 200 hectares in Sinaloa. He has a landing strip, stables with racing horses, a main house that looks like a 5-star hotel. They introduce you to his family. His wife is elegant, studied in Switzerland. His children go to private schools in Monterrey. They could be any wealthy family, except for the 40 armed men patrolling the perimeter, except for the armored trucks parked like they're Hondas, except for the casual conversation about the shipment arriving Tuesday and the problem with the Colombians. You become more than his lawyer. You're his advisor, his confidant. Yeah, he consults you about legitimate investments. You help buy hotels, restaurants, car dealerships, all in third parties' names, obviously. You create complex corporate structures, blind trusts, holdings in Belize. Your work is no longer just criminal defense. It's legal architecture for a criminal empire. You're like the lawyer for a Fortune 500, except your Fortune 500 moves tons of cocaine instead of software. The cases become more serious. They're no longer commanders or distributors. Now you're defending the boss's son. The kid is 22 years old and has zero common sense. They caught him at a party with 3 kilos of coke and 2 AK-47s. There are videos. There are witnesses. It's a disaster. You spend 6 months building the defense. You argue that the weapons were planted, that the drugs belonged to another attendee, that your client is a victim of persecution because of his last name. You bribe 2 key witnesses to change their statements. You get the video declared inadmissible due to chain of custody problems. The kid goes free. The boss gives you a Rolex Daytona. You cry in your car on the way home. You start receiving threats. Other cartels know who you are. They know that without you, the boss is vulnerable. Your house is shot up one night. Nobody is hurt. It's just a message. The next day, you have 5 bodyguards. One sleeps in your living room, another in a car outside. You can no longer go to the gym alone. You can no longer dine at your favorite restaurant without them checking the place first. Your private life has died. Now you live in a security bubble that is simultaneously protection and prison. You got married young before all this. Your wife is an architect. You had 2 children. At first, you hid the truth. I'm defending complex cases, you'd say. She's not stupid. The trucks outside, the armed men, the excessive money. One day, she confronts you. Who do you really work for? You could lie, but you're tired of lying. You tell her the truth. She packs her bags that same night. The children cry. You promise them you'll quit, that you'll find another job. It's a promise you both know you won't keep. The divorce is bitter. You're left with the empty house and weekend custody that you can almost never exercise because your life is too dangerous to involve your children. One day, the boss is arrested. Federal operation, helicopters, special forces. It's a media spectacle. The cameras capture everything. They call you at 4 a.m. They got him, says El Teniente. You arrive at the public ministry at 6 a.m. There are 200 reporters outside. You push your way through. Inside, the boss is handcuffed but calm. We knew this would happen eventually, he says. Do your magic. The file has 3,000 pages. They're accusing him of organized crime, drug trafficking, homicide, money laundering, criminal association. The evidence is overwhelming. There are phone intercepts, protected testimonies, forensic evidence. It's the case the government has been building for 5 years. It's the case that will define your career. You build a team. You hire 12 more lawyers. Together, you work 18 hours daily. You attack each piece of evidence methodically. The phone intercepts have irregularities in the judicial authorizations. Some protected testimonies have contradictions. The forensic evidence has chain of custody problems. It's not enough to win, but it's enough to delay. You file 47 writs of protection. Each one requires a hearing. Each hearing takes weeks to schedule. You turn a trial that should last 6 months into a 3-year saga. Meanwhile, you work in parallel. Because you know you can't win this case with legal arguments alone. You need pressure. The cartel organizes spontaneous protests demanding justice for the boss. You hire international human rights experts who denounce the conditions of his detention. You publish statements about alleged torture. You leak information to the media about corruption in the prosecutor's office. You turn the trial into a media circus where the government is on the defensive. Your strategy isn't to prove innocence. It's to create enough noise and confusion for public opinion to doubt. During the 3 years of the trial, your life is hell. You receive death threats weekly. The government investigates you for obstruction of justice. The DEA puts you on a watch list. You can't travel to the United States without being interrogated. Your bank accounts are monitored. Your phone is tapped, because sometimes you hear the telltale click. You live assuming every conversation is recorded, every email is read, every movement is tracked. You develop clinical paranoia. You check your car for explosives every morning. You change phones weekly. You never sleep in the same place 2 nights in a row. The first year of the trial, you achieve several small writs of protection. You manage to get 15% of the evidence excluded. The second year, a key witness retracts his testimony. You'll never know if it was because he was threatened or because he was paid. Probably both. The third year, the strategy bears fruit. The case has become so complicated with so many appeals and counter-appeals that 2 judges recuse themselves due to pressure. The third, a new judge, less experienced, makes a procedural error. It's small, technical, almost invisible. But you see it. You file a writ of protection based on that error. Miraculously, it's granted. You don't win acquittal, but you manage to get the case declared null, and it has to start from scratch. The government is furious. They know it was a technicality. They know your client is guilty. But the law is the law, that same law they proclaim to defend when it suits them. They decide not to prosecute again. The political cost is too high. After 3 years, the boss goes free. Not because he's innocent, but because you found every crack in the system and exploited them all. You're celebrated in the underworld as a genius. You're hated in the prosecutor's office as the worst scum. Both things are true. Your payment for this case is obscene. $15 million. You receive it in 3 offshore accounts you open specifically for this. You could retire, buy an island, disappear. But you know you can't. Once you're inside, there's no outside. The boss tells you clearly at the celebration dinner, you're part of the family now, forever. It's a hug and a condemnation simultaneously. You're his most valuable asset. You're also his most privileged prisoner. The cases continue. Now you defend the entire structure. The boss, his brothers, his cousins, his commanders. You have 30 active cases simultaneously. You hire a firm of 40 lawyers, offices in 3 cities. You have a system. For minor cases, your associates handle everything. For important cases, you intervene personally. You've become a trial-winning machine. Your success rate is 87%. It's a statistically impossible number in criminal law. But when you have unlimited resources, when you can hire the best expert witnesses, when you can investigate the witnesses, when you can influence certain decisions, the impossible becomes routine. You discover the true power of law. It's not justice, it's procedure. The Mexican judicial system is so complex, with so many instances, so many remedies, so many possible writs of protection, that a good lawyer can delay a case indefinitely. And in organized crime, time is freedom. Every month your client spends outside prison is a month of operations, a month of profits, a month of power. Your job isn't necessarily to win, it's to delay, it's to complicate, it's to turn a 6-month process into a 5-year legal nightmare. You become an expert in extraditions. When the United States requests the extradition of one of the commanders, you build an 18-month defense. You argue violations of international treaties. You question jurisdiction. You present evidence that your client would be tortured in U.S. prisons. You get testimony from human rights experts. The process drags on. During that time, your client remains free on bail. He continues operating. When he finally loses the last writ and must be extradited, he's already moved his operations, reorganized his structure, secured his family. Extradition is inevitable. But the preparation is worth millions. You start managing the legal aspects of the entire cartel. You review money laundering contracts disguised as legitimate businesses. You structure property purchases so they're impossible to trace. You create shell companies with layers of nominee directors. Your legal expertise combines with your knowledge of criminal operations. You're no longer just a defender. You're the legal architect of a criminal empire. Every important cartel decision crosses your desk. Is it legal? Is it safe? What are the risks? You're their compliance department, except compliance is with the laws of crime, not of society. You know secrets that make you indestructible and vulnerable simultaneously. You know where the bodies are, literally. You've helped prepare alibis for homicides. You've reviewed statements before they're given to police. You've coordinated the legal defense of massacres disguised as confrontations. Each secret gives you power. Each secret is a potential death sentence. Because if you talk, you destroy the entire organization. But if they ever consider that you might talk, they destroy you first. You have elaborate protection measures. All compromising information is encrypted on servers in Iceland. You have life insurance, documents that automatically get sent to 3 international newspapers if you go 48 hours without entering a specific code. It's your guarantee that killing you would be worse for them than keeping you alive. It's a delicate balance of mutual terror. They need you too much to kill you. You know too much to betray them. You're in a forced marriage out of necessity and fear. The years pass. Your hair grays prematurely. You're 42 years old, but look 60. The stress is literally killing you. You have an ulcer, high blood pressure, chronic insomnia. Your doctor prescribes you antidepressants that you mix with whiskey because it's the only way to sleep. You've thought about suicide more times than you'd admit, but even that is complicated. Because a suicide would generate suspicion, it would initiate investigations. Your death has to appear natural or it can't happen. You try to find meaning, you rationalize. The system is broken, you tell yourself. If it weren't me, it would be another lawyer. Everyone has the right to legal defense. I'm just doing my job. They're lies that help you sleep, more or less. What really keeps you awake isn't guilt, it's fear. Fear that the government will finally build a case against you. Fear that the cartel will decide you know too much. Fear of a rival cartel kidnapping you to extract information. Fear of everything and everyone all the time. Your only social contacts are other criminal defense attorneys. They form an exclusive club of people who defend the indefensible. They meet at private dinners where they drink and complain about the system. Everyone knows everyone's secrets. Nobody speaks them out loud. There's a code, a legal omerta. Because everyone is compromised. Everyone has crossed lines. Everyone lives in the same moral limbo. One day, you discover you have a file at the DEA. A government contact who owes you favors shows it to you. It's 400 pages. They have your bank movements, travel records, photographs of you with the boss. I call transcripts. They're building a case for criminal association against you. It's not solid yet, but they're working on it. You know they're eventually going to move on you. The question isn't if, it's when. And when they do, you'll have to decide, do you defend or cooperate? The idea of cooperating visits you at night. They'd give you witness protection, new identity. You could start over, but you know the cartel has global reach. You know 3 cases of protected witnesses who were found and executed. One was in Australia, another in Norway, the third in Alaska. If they can't kill you, they'll kill your children, or your parents, or your sister. They've shown before that 3 generations of a family aren't a limit for revenge. Your oldest son turns 15. You haven't seen him in 2 years because it's safer that way. Your ex-wife remarried a doctor. They live a normal life in Querétaro. You send her money monthly, but never visit. On his birthday, you send him an expensive gift he'll probably throw away. He asks you in a message, "Are you a criminal, Dad?" You type, "No, I just defend criminals," but delete the message. You don't respond. It's better if he thinks you simply don't care. It's safer if he hates you than if he loves you. The boss is planning his retirement. He's 50 years old. He's survived what few in his position survive. He wants to transfer power to his younger son, the smart one, the one who studied in London. He tasks you with structuring the transition legally. "I need everything protected," he says. "Businesses, properties, accounts. If they catch me, my family needs to have something to live on." You spend 6 months creating a legal structure so complex it would take the feds years to unravel. Trusts in Panama, companies in Luxembourg, foundations in Liechtenstein. It's your legal masterpiece. It's also your longest sentence. Because now you're indispensable for the next generation too. The boss's son treats you with respect, but also with distrust. "You're from the old guard," he says. "I need to know you're committed to the new era." He asks you to do something you'd never done. Participate directly in an operation. Not legal defense. Action. Specifically, they need you to use your judicial contacts to get information about an active investigation. It's a definitive line crossing. From defense to offense. From lawyer to active criminal. You do it. You call a judge who owes you favors. You get copies of the secret file. You deliver it. 3 days later, 2 key witnesses in that case disappear. You'll never know if it was a coincidence, but probably not. You've crossed a line you never thought you'd cross. You can no longer pretend you're just defending. Now you're an active part of the machinery. That night, you look at yourself in the mirror and don't recognize the man looking back at you. He's a stranger with your face who sold his soul in monthly payments until there was nothing left to sell. The new boss is more violent than his father, less calculating, more impulsive. Your work becomes harder. Before you defended strategy. Now you defend chaos. The cases are dirtier, more evidence, more victims, more publicity. The father knew how to operate in the shadows. What the son wants everyone to know who's in charge. It's worse for business and worse for your mental health. But you have no choice. You're tied to this ship, and the ship is taking on water. You start planning your own disappearance. Not cooperation, not retirement. Disappearance. You have $8 million in accounts the cartel doesn't know about. You have 3 fake passports prepared. You have contacts in Montenegro who can get you a new identity. You've been moving money gradually for 2 years. The plan is simple. Fake a kidnapping, disappear, reappear in the Balkans with a new identity. You'll live modestly, you'll die anonymously. It's the best you can hope for. But the plan requires perfect timing. It has to be during a big case that explains your initial absence. It has to be when the cartel is distracted. Well, it has to be before the DEA moves. It's an impossible balance of 3 variables in constant motion. Meanwhile, you keep working, you keep defending, you keep building a record that law students will someday analyze without knowing the complete truth. You occasionally teach classes at the university. Advanced criminal law. The students admire you. They don't know you're teaching them techniques you use to free killers. A brilliant student approaches you after class. "I want to be like you, counselor," she says. "I want to defend difficult cases." You smile at her and say, "Choose another path. Defend victims, not victimizers. Trust me." She thinks you're being humble. She doesn't understand it's a desperate warning. You receive a summons. The DEA wants to interrogate you. It's voluntary, they say. You know nothing is voluntary when the DEA asks. You bring 3 lawyers with you. For 6 hours, they ask you questions about the boss, about the finances, about specific cases. You answer everything with attorney-client privilege. It's an almost impenetrable legal shield. But you know they're building the case. Every "I can't answer" is one more piece of the puzzle they're assembling. That night, the new boss calls you. What did they want? You tell him the truth. They're building a case against you, against me, against the organization. There's silence. Then, did you talk? Of course not. Will you talk? Never. Another silence. I hope so, counselor, for your sake and your family's. The threat is crystal clear. You've gone from being a valuable asset to a potential liability. You accelerate your escape plans. You move more money. You activate the passports. You establish the protocol. In 3 months, you'll be ready. You just need 3 more months. But the universe has other plans. A massive operation, coordinated between Mexico and the United States. They arrest 47 cartel members simultaneously, including the boss, including El Teniente, including you. They arrest you at 5 a.m. at your house. 20 federal agents, helicopter above, snipers in position. As if you were Chapo Guzman. The irony would be funny if you weren't handcuffed. They read you your rights while cameras record everything. The newspaper headline the next day: Arrest of lawyer for the country's most dangerous cartel. Your handcuffed photo is on the front page. Your mother calls crying. Your son sends you a 3-word message. I told you. They present you with 27 charges: criminal association, money laundering, obstruction of justice, bribery, document falsification. Each one with 5 to 15 years in prison. You're looking at potentially 200 years. The prosecutor offers you a deal. Cooperate and we reduce it to 10 years. Don't cooperate and you'll die in prison. I need time to think, you say. You have 48 hours, they respond. In the holding cell, you see El Teniente. He's 2 cells over. He stares at you fixedly. The message is clear. Don't talk or your family pays. But a message also arrives from the prosecutor. We have your son in preventive protection. Cooperate and we keep him safe. They're playing chess with your life and your family are the pieces. This is what you are now, the most brilliant lawyer of your generation, reduced to an impossible decision in a cold cell. You defended dozens of criminals. You won impossible cases. You built a legal empire on foundations of blood. And now you have to decide if you die as a protected snitch or as a loyal soldier in a war that was never yours. The final irony is that after all these years using the law to avoid justice, now the law has finally caught up with you. Not for what you did in the courts, but for what you did in the shadows. Your legal skills made you valuable. Your knowledge made you indispensable. Your loyalty made you trustworthy. And all those qualities together made you the perfect arrestee for a case that will define the fight against drug trafficking in Mexico. You're the lawyer for the most wanted cartel boss. And your case will be defended by another lawyer who's probably making the same mistakes you made 15 years ago. The cycle continues. The machine keeps running. Only the faces and names change. The law you loved so much betrayed you. Or maybe you betrayed the law. The distinction no longer matters from this cell where you wait for 48 hours to decide the rest of your life.